So that's the latest here in Florida. Let me take things up to South Carolina in Folly Beach. That's where Fox Weather's Mike Seidel, hurricane specialist, is standing by. Mike, how do things look in your neck of the woods?
Well, it's good as it gets here in late September. Water temperature 77. We've got a lot of sunshine today. Winds are light from the north at 5 to 10 miles an hour. So we've got another day that's going to be pretty decent on the beach. We've got the surfers out again. First light this morning, catching some runs. I went out to almost the end of the pier, and that guy right there was up for about, he's still up, 15, 20 seconds. But you know, he's not moving too fast, but he's enjoying having a good time. So they're out there working on these 3-footers. That's about it. Now, here are the stats. As of 8 a.m. Eastern, the center of Tropical Depression number 9, soon to be Imelda, we're forecasting, is about 675 miles away from where I am in Folly Beach. Now, on Tuesday, at its closest approach, it'll be about 265 miles off in that direction. So that's as close as the center gets. Based on the forecast at 5 a.m. from the National Hurricane Center. We'll get another update at 11. What that tells me is, versus yesterday and the day before, certainly, that lowers the threat of significant rainfall. A couple of days ago, we were thinking double digits inland, but that is not going to be the case. We're also thinking maybe some hurricane-force wind gust. Right now, the National Hurricane Center's probability of a tropical storm force sustained wind, which is 39 miles an hour, here on the coast where we are, is about 10%, 10 to 15%. So we're looking much better from the wind perspective and from the rainfall perspective. So let's show you the radar forecast. Today, forget about it. Don't expect any rain at all for the most part. Then we get into tomorrow as the storm slowly moves north off the east coast of Florida. Then we get into some of those outer bands, and we'll get some gustier winds. With that said, that will continue into Monday night and Tuesday, and that's it. Based on the current track and timing, this is all out of here by later Tuesday, and Wednesday we're back out on the beaches, although we may have some rough surf continuing and some rip currents. Rainfall total here, 2 to 3 inches. There could be some higher totals locally. Then you go up the coast towards Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, Morehead City, and back inland. You can see that swath of 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. There will probably be some flood watches issued, and we could have some flash flood warnings. But again, this is all subject to change based on when the future Imelda makes that right turn. So what are we looking at? Rainfall is going to be the #1 impact, Nick. Wind, not especially problematic. You get gusts to 40 miles an hour. That's really not going to knock out power. We will have some beach erosion, and we'll have some big waves here. We're going to have the swell from Umberto, wave action and swell from the future Imelda. So right now, the marine forecast says 8 to 12 footers breaking here. So these waves will definitely crank up starting tomorrow through Tuesday into Wednesday morning. We'll notice that. The rain gets in here, but by and large, this is a whole different forecast than we had thought could happen just several days ago.
Yeah, Mike, those waves, they're bigger than what would you call them yesterday? Ankle spankers, ankle slappers? Yeah, those are certainly churning up there.
Knee slappers.
There you go. Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel, thank you for the update there in Folly Beach, South Carolina.
Up toward what we call the Space Coast. We do want to head up to South Carolina and Folly Beach. That's where we find Fox Weather hurricane specialist Mike Seidel. Mike, curious how things are looking where you're at.
It is a quiet morning here. What can I say? We've had some sun. Now we've got clouds in here, and the winds are light, north at 5 to 10 miles an hour. Temperatures are in the mid-70s, so it's an ideal day to be working and to be out on the beach. I know they'd like to see some more sunshine, but no rain in the short term by far. Let's go to the radar and show you what's going on off the coast. There's a lot of thunderstorms and lightning off the coast of the Carolinas and Georgia, but it's far offshore, and notice the movement is not really towards us. So I think we're going to get through most of today without any rain. The closest lightning bolt is about 65 miles away from Folly Beach. But again, as we scan way off in the distance, you can see the threatening skies, but not moving in our direction very, very quickly. By tonight and tomorrow, we'll get that heavier rainfall. Look at the surfers out here this morning again at first light, and they're catching some 3-footers. I think about 3, maybe they're up to about 4 way out there. We're going to slowly see the surf ramp up today and tonight, and especially into Monday as we start to get the swell from Hurricane Umberto. That was a Cat 5. And also, there she is up on the on the board again. Not moving too fast, but hey, you take what you can get down here. I was going to say the swell from Umberto and then the wave action from the future Imelda coming at us. So the forecast here on the shore are 8 to 12 foot breakers, along with higher than normal tides. So we're going to get some beach erosion, but the fact that the storm at its closest approach, based on the early morning forecast track from the National Hurricane Center, is 265 miles, tells me that the main impact here is going to be the rainfall. Rainfall forecast here in Charleston, 2 to 3 inches. Up the coast, up the Grand Strand to Wilmington, Morehead City, we're looking at 3 to 5 inches of rainfall. We'll likely see some flood watches issued from the Weather Service offices in Charleston and also up in the Wilmington area, and there could be some flash flood warnings. So that is really going to be the main impact, Michael. Not so much the wind, not so much the surge, because we're not going to have a landfall, but we will have higher than normal tides, and maybe we get some wind gusts just over 30 or 35 miles an hour. That's the story at this point, and a much, much better forecast than we expected just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, we're certainly thanking our lucky stars for that. Mike, question for you. All of the hurricanes that we've seen in the Atlantic Basin so far this year have been Cat 4 or higher. You just mentioned Umberto that, clocked winds 160 miles per hour. Do you think there's any sort of possibility that Imelda could strengthen beyond the Cat 1 that we're forecasting?
It seems unlikely. It's got some shear that it's going to deal with as it gets farther north. Also, the Umberto angle, and then it gets picked up and taken out. So I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, it could happen, but the bottom line is it's going to be fairly far off the coast. As I mentioned here, almost 265 miles. The one thing about Imelda, it is the ice storm, and incidentally, this morning I'm having breakfast here at the pier, and the waitress said she was really concerned because it was the ice storm, and she knew that a lot of the ice storms in recent years have been bad ones, and they have been retired, those names. And I told her I seriously doubt the name Imelda is going to be retired, and we will see it again in the year 2031. Michael?
Yeah, Mike, that makes all the sense in the world. The I-named storm, the most retired letter in the alphabet. Fox Weather's hurricane specialist, Mike Seidel, live for us in Folly Beach. Mike, thank you. Let me head up to Folly Beach. This is in South Carolina, where rain could perhaps be an issue. Mike Seidel is there live for us. Mike, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Michael, and back up here today again. Not a bad beach day. A lot of clouds, there's a breeze. Now it's picked up a little bit. It's running north at about 10 miles an hour, still no big deal. And the chance of rain today is not very high, increases this evening. I want to show you the video I shot from the top of the hotel where I'm staying at the 7th floor, and a nice balcony shot. You can get a sense of the beach, how wide it is, and in the distance, how dark the sky is, how threatening it is. We've had showers and thunderstorms well off the coast since overnight last night and early this morning. They're not really moving our way at this point, and the closest lightning bolt I measured is about 75 to 80 miles offshore. So we'll come back live and show you what we see, and it does look a little bit threatening out there, but again, if you look at the radar, the rain is hardly even moving, and certainly not really moving towards the coast. The surf, I notice now it's gradually coming up a little bit. Maybe we got some 4-footers from 2 to 3 footers. Remember, we're going to have the swell propagating away from Umberto, which was a Cat 5, and then we have the wave action coming in from what will be eventually, at some point, Imelda. It's a tropical depression right now. So the 1-2 punch and the forecast for 8 to 12 footers as we get into Monday night and Tuesday. Tuesday will be the worst weather day here. Swimming certainly not recommended. Also, along with the surf, we'll have some beach erosion, and we'll have the rainfall. The rain is going to be the #1 impact here in South Carolina by far. We're forecasting 1 to 3 inches here in Charleston, and then up the coast, maybe a little bit more up towards the Grand Strand, Myrtle Beach, into Wilmington, Wrightsville Beach, and Morehead City. And that is subject to change because the track. The track continues to be shifted south and east. Remember this morning, if you were watching, I was talking about how far away the center of the future Imelda will be on Tuesday. Well, this morning I did the latitude-longitude measurement from the 8 a.m. position, and it was going to be forecast to be 266 miles. Well, now with the 11 o'clock update from NHC, the distance between Imelda, assuming we get Imelda, we will, he says with confidence, and our location here in Folly Beach, the distance Tuesday has increased 50 miles. From 266 to 316 miles. So that's way, way, way off the coast, but it's got a big circulation, and we've got the wind coming around from the north and some cool air to the north. So we're going to get some kind of an overrunning setup. So I would be shocked if we don't get any rain here at all. Right now we're saying 1 to 3, and we'll see if the Weather Service eventually puts out some flood watches here on the South Carolina coast. Meanwhile, look at this. Yeah, you're not going to get sunburned today, really, but we've got volleyball underway. We've got a decent crowd for the final few days of September here at Folly Beach. Water temperature is 77, and the surfers have been out since first light this morning, trying to catch some of these waves. Here comes the surfer right now. Are you excited?
Man, we're going to get some big swell coming in here, but it's going to be super choppy.
Yeah, well, that's tomorrow. Yeah, Tuesday, right?
Day after tomorrow, yeah. Should be good until then. You coming on out?
No, I'm going to stay here and videotape you guys.
Gotcha.
Okay, have a good run. There you go. So, good forecast here from obviously a surfer who knows his forecast. There is the fact that once we get these bigger waves into the swell, it's going to be like a wash tub and very choppy. Let's go back to Jane. Is it Jane or Michael? I'm not sure. Someone speak up there.
Yeah.
Out there.
Oh yeah, Mike, I'll pick it up, not to worry. But yeah, to your point, the surfers out where we are too do seem to be in the know on what's going on, what to expect. I'm happy to hear that also along the South Carolina coastline. They are engaged in the forecast, and that's exactly what we want all of our viewers to really take home. To your point, again, rain an issue in parts of the Carolinas where we are. It's really going to be the high surf, the high waves, that action as well. Mike Seidel for us in Folly Beach, South Carolina. Mike, thank you.
That is where we find Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel. Mike, this has been an interesting one to watch. I know you've been keeping an eye on all the forecast models. AI models had this one the last few days, and now the traditional models have finally caught up, it appears.
Indeed, the Google DeepMind model, the AI model, has been right on this since last week. Since Monday, Tuesday, all the way through the week, it forecasted it to make a right turn before it got up to the Carolina beaches. The other models, the global models, the European and the GFS, well, they were forecasting a landfall until about Friday, and then by yesterday morning, that was looking less and less likely. So now everybody's in the agreement that it's going to take a right turn. Even the models now coming out from this morning, the Euro and GFS, saying it's going to take a right turn rather sooner than forecasted in the earlier run. So I wouldn't be shocked to see that the National Hurricane Center, with their 5 p.m. Eastern update, does adjust the track even farther south and east from where we are. Based on the 5 a.m. and the 11 a.m. track, we're 11 a.m. track, right? We're now forecast to be as close as about 320 miles on Tuesday morning. That's 320 miles to center offshore in that direction. What does that mean? That means, well, wind's not going to be a big issue. Maybe we get some gusts and some squalls, 30, 35 miles an hour. We're going to have some beach erosion, and at time of high tide, the water will come up a little bit higher, but surge is not going to be an issue. The other issue will be the rainfall, and I just looked at the updated rainfall totals from the National Hurricane Center. They just updated that graphic on their site in the past hour, and they're forecasting about an inch or so of rainfall here in the Charleston area, a little bit more as you go up the coast. So the rainfall amounts continue to be scaled back. If you remember last week, Ian, the Euro and the GFS models at one point were forecasting 20 to 25 inches of rain in the South Carolina Lowcountry.
Yeah, and those were scary scenes that we saw on some of those models. Mike, what are folks around town saying about this? I know this has been, from a messaging standpoint, a little frustrating for folks because it was two camps, kind of a fork in the road in the forecast, and it wasn't especially clear, at least for a few days. We couldn't say with certainty ruling out the landfalling one.
Yeah, and remember Yogi Berra said, when you get to the fork in the road, take it. Well, we're going to take the fork in the road off the coast to the right, and Meanwhile, not a bad Sunday on the beach. You got a fairly decent crowd for late September. The wind has definitely picked up a little bit. We're now running 10 to 15 miles an hour from the north and northeast. Temperatures around 80, not incredibly uncomfortable, especially with the breeze. Water temperatures are running in the upper 70s. We had some surfers out earlier. I don't see any on this side of the pier. Wave heights are increased a little bit, 3 to 4 footers. But by the way, Ian, I checked the Edisto buoy, which is about 45 miles southeast of here. That's out closer to the Gulf Stream. Water temperature out there 83.4 or 82.4, but I noticed the wave heights out there have only peaked out at 4.6 feet. So that's not a lot at this point, but we will have the swell coming into play from Umberto tonight and tomorrow into Tuesday, and then we'll have the wave action from Tropical Storm Imelda. So the bottom line is the number one impact will be some rainfall. Maybe we get some wind gusts 30 to 35 miles an hour, but fortunately it's taking a turn as it strengthens and going away from the southeast coast and the Florida coastline. So everything turning out pretty good. I think the one thing I'm waiting for now is, do they close the schools here in South Carolina tomorrow and Tuesday? It remains to be seen. We'll see what they do, but it's really just going to be a rainfall story, and that's it. And now that it's pulling farther off the coast, once you get up towards I-95, there's going to be not a whole lot of rain, especially south of I-20 in South Carolina.
Yeah, still a little fringy there. You going Yogi Berra, I'm going Bob Frost with the two roads diverged in a wood. We're taking the one less traveled, which is appreciated by a lot of folks where you are. That's Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel. Thank you. Let's get you a live picture from Folly Beach, South Carolina. The southeast on alert as this storm will skirt pretty close to the coastline, close enough that we're expecting some impacts, especially with the kind of ugly, messy shape of this system. That, by the way, is where we find Fox Weather Storm Specialist Mike Seidel. He's in Folly Beach. Mike, we're waiting on the updates from the NHC coming up later on this afternoon, 5 o'clock. That lopsided nature of this storm, though, that hard right on the forecast track won't tell the whole story.
No, but what we're worried about here basically now is just the rainfall. And every run, we see the rainfall totals getting lower and lower because the distance from the center of the storm is farther and farther off the coast. With the 11 a.m. positioning, it's forecast to be about 320 miles well southeast of us on Tuesday. And that's 2 days from now, so we still have a long way to go. It's only moving, 6-7 miles an hour, basically due north. It's going to parallel the Florida coast, then come up and make a right turn, probably somewhere off Cape Canaveral. So instead of a landfall that some of the global models were forecasting late last week, we are looking at a storm that goes out to sea, primarily because of the steering from what was Category 5 Umberto. So that plays into it. As far as the surf goes this afternoon, a little bit higher, 3 to 4 footers. We don't have the surfers out like we did at first light this morning, and they were catching some good rides of 15, 20 seconds, not moving incredibly fast. Water temperature still not bad, upper 70s for yours truly. I can handle 77 or 78 degrees. The surf is going to ramp up. That's going to be one thing we'll notice tomorrow into Tuesday from Umberto and from Imelda. So we're looking at 8 to 12 footers breaking here on the coast. We're going to have some beach erosion, and maybe certainly the tide's a little higher than normal, but surge is really off the table now. Winds may gust to 30 or 35 miles an hour in a squall, but it's really the rainfall, and we'll see exactly how much we end up with. Maybe we get a couple of inches here, maybe less than an inch, but it has been certainly fleeting with the forecast with each additional model run. It is a beautiful Sunday out here at Folly Beach, and we've got this fine group of folks enjoying the great weather. You can't beat it because, well, we got a lower sun angle now, like mid-March, so it's not beating down on you. Temperatures are about 80. We've got a nice breeze from the north, and we've got Doug Orthen, who is the father of the birthday girl, Mad. We call her Mads for short. Hello, Mads.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
And this was a surprise, right?
Yeah, it was a surprise birthday.
Were you concerned about the weather when you started thinking about?
We were totally concerned. We had planned this weeks ago, and we had considered calling it off because we thought the weather was going to be really bad.
Well, look what happened.
It's actually turned out really well.
Yeah, you made the right decisions. You could have gone on Thursday. You could have said, no, we got to cancel, but you waited it out.
We were close. We were definitely close.
Smart move, Dad, because if you had canceled it and all these fine ladies had come out you gotten up this morning. What for? Well, I guess you could have kicked it back in.
Yeah, totally.
Maybe.
But we still could have played some volleyball because this is the James Island volleyball team right here.
Yep.
James Island volleyball team. Now, when is volleyball season basically in the colder months of the year here?
Yeah, pretty much. We just started region play. So far, we are undefeated.
What is that, 5-0?
5-0.
Wow, 5-0, not bad.
Yeah.
And
nice.
the odds of school tomorrow and Tuesday?
So far, pretty likely, but if the wind picks up, like above 6 or 7 hours, like miles per hour, then
Well, you're a meteorologist now, huh?
yeah, like the buses won't go, so that will make us like
Well,
cancel school.
If it was my decision, I'd say you need to go to school.
I vote no.
No, you vote no?
I vote
You
no.
want a long week?
School days.
What's that? What's that?
That was her.
So what about school days?
Well, we already have so many school days in the year. I feel like we kind of need a break.
You mean like snow days built in?
Yeah, like basically.
And it snows here once every 10 years, like last year?
So
Okay.
I think this should be our break right now.
Well, I'm glad you're getting a good day in ahead of the rainfall tomorrow and again on Tuesday. And it was nice to chat with you and enjoy your surprise 60. Were you really surprised?
I actually was very surprised, yes, because they ruined the surprise earlier, but then they told me it was canceled. So then they
Okay, wait a minute. Who ruined the surprise? Should we? Right here, surprise ruiner. We're not going to say.
Put her on the group text.
You put her on the group text. Oh, you know what? I think didn't somebody do that in the military?
Defense Department.
Yeah, defense. Yeah. Well, we won't go there. We don't do politics.
Mads' surprise birthday party.
Well, it was a mistake. It's okay. Everybody's having a good time. Yeah. So
For coming out and talking with people around Charleston because we do really appreciate.
Well, we appreciate you watching and thank you. Ian, there you go. Birthday party.
Yes.
Ruined and then not ruined by someone who ended up on a group chat. Where have we seen that before? Anyway, enough of. We don't do politics here, but it just popped in my mind.
Yeah.
But it is a beautiful day out here on the beach, and tomorrow we should get some rain here. We'll be back out here tomorrow through the afternoon here, and then back out tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Eastern on Fox Weather.
Yeah, it's a big Mike Seidel well wishes, a big Fox Weather birthday. Mike, before we let you go, you've covered a lot of storms, and we always talk about how tropical systems actually move. There was this bifurcation, right? The two thinkings, either north landfall or this right turn to sea. This looks like Imelda is going to stop at a four-way stop, right? And then just more or less put its blinker on, make its turn out to the right. I think a lot of people were discrediting that a few days back as being not an impossibility, but the likelihood of a storm moving like that. This happens a lot, though, with the motion of storms.
Well, it does happen more in the Pacific when we get two typhoons close together, say within about 800 or 900 miles, and they rotate around each other like this. And that's what we call the Fujiwara effect, named after a long ago scientist. And we're getting a little bit of that. They're kind of dancing around each other starting tomorrow into Tuesday. And with each run, it's making the turn sooner, so it doesn't gain as much latitude. And therefore, up here in North Carolina, it cuts down on the impacts. We're still going to get some rain here, Ian. I can't imagine we don't get at least some rain. That would be astounding if we go from, earlier amounts forecast late last week with a landfall of 15 to 20 to 25 inches down to less than an inch. So we'll see how it plays out. But again, that's going to be the weather worry tomorrow. Some rain. Maybe we get a gust on the coast to 25, 30, 35 miles an hour. And we will notice a difference in the surf. It's already beginning to ramp up a little bit. And we're going to see 8, 10 plus footers certainly later tomorrow and Tuesday, because it's all that swell, which is basically swell is wave action that propagates away from the source. That is going to move into the coast here, the Carolinas, and that will lead to at least some beach erosion.
Yeah.
Ian will be out here for another hour or so. Kind of an easy shift today. Not getting burned by the sun, not getting wet, and not getting blown away. So a fairly easy work day here at the beach in Folly.
Yeah, not so bad. You've got Imelda. Umberto's like the lead blocker, and Imelda just follows it right through the gap. It's not quite the Philadelphia Eagles tush push, but it's something like that. Pushing that area high pressure out of the way. That's our storm specialist, Mike Seidel. Mike, we'll be checking back. Thank you. Let's check in with Fox Weather storm specialist Mike Seidel. Mike, looks pretty good out at Folly Beach, right? A little breezy. The trends over the past couple of days, though, what a big deal for this region.
Yeah, what a nice change to see the fact that last week the global models were saying landfall in South Carolina. We're talking 15, maybe 20 inches of rain, and now we're talking absolutely no landfall as it makes a right turn off the Florida East Coast, and we get 1, maybe 2 inches of rain. So this is really going to be a story about rainfall, and it remains to be seen exactly how much we get because the morning model runs have shifted it to the right a little faster. So in about the next 20 or 25 minutes, Ian, we'll get the next forecast track and cone from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, and I would bet that it shifts a little farther south and east of here. The 11 a.m. position on Tuesday morning put the center of the storm, 316 miles southeast of where we are. South-southeast. That's a pretty good chunk of territory. Now the storm is not all about just the center, what's around it. So we are going to have the wave action. In fact, Umberto, which was a Cat 5, that swell, which is swell or waves that propagate away from the source, Umberto, that's going to arrive in here tonight through Tuesday, and then we're going to have the wave action from Tropical Storm Imelda coming into play too. So the marine forecast from the Weather Service is talking about wave heights out here of 8 to 12 feet. Right now we've got 3 to 4 footers. We are getting some white caps farther out now. There's a little bit more wind than we had this morning. Winds this morning were calm to 5, and now they're running 10, 12 miles an hour from the north and northeast. Surfers have left the surf. They were out most of the day, but right now it's become more of a wash tub effect here on the Atlantic. By the way, water temperature is still in the upper 70s, which is not bad for the final days of September. So we have it tracking north and then making the right turn away from us. What does that take away as far as impacts? Well, certainly the wind is not going to be a major story now. Late last week, we thought we could get even hurricane force winds or gusts, and now we're talking about peak wind gusts of 30, 35 miles an hour, maybe a tad higher in one of those squalls if it gets in here. The other issue that we were concerned about was storm surge. That's a non-entity now because it's going away from us. It's not coming towards the coast. Now, with that said, with an onshore flow, at least early on, and wave heights up, I'm sure the high tide will be higher than it should be. But look at how wide this beach is here at Folly. The tide right now is going out. We have another low tide coming up here at about 6:40, 6:45 this evening, and it goes way out. So surge, not an issue. Overwash, I don't think that's going to be an issue. Wind is not really going to be an issue either. So we're left right now basically with a rainfall story and how much actually gets to the coast. Is it an inch? Is it 2 or 3 inches? It's going to be spread out from late tonight, but primarily Monday into Tuesday. And looking at the latest runs, Ian, I would think by Tuesday afternoon we're done here in South Carolina, and that's it. As far as schools go, no word yet if they're going to close schools tomorrow or not. I would suspect they'll be open. Well, we don't know at this point, but I do know the College of Charleston and Seidel at this point are going to be open business as usual first thing on Monday morning. So, Ian, it could have been a lot worse, obviously, but what a nice change. And I have to say that Google DeepMind AI model has just shown its force again. It has been predicting a right turn since I started looking at it last Monday.
Right.
And it took until Friday night and Saturday morning before the GFS, the American model, and the European models, before those models started to hint at a right turn. So once again, we give the W to the new Google AI model, and I think it did a little bit better with the track of Aaron last month off the coast of North Carolina. Yeah, it wasn't a matter of landfall with Aaron. It was a matter of how close it gets to the coast or how close it gets to Bermuda. And like you said, it did outshine the European by at least a little bit. But this is amazing. Last Monday, right on through today, and it's going to make a right turn.
Yeah.
It's going to make a right turn.
It was resolute. It was persistent.
Going to make a right turn.
And, eventually everybody else fell in line. Mike, I wanted to ask you, what's going on with Umberto? This has been a funky hurricane season. We know that, right? But more or less that same spot out in the Atlantic, we've seen 3 hurricanes rapidly intensify there. So it's not that the basin isn't producing powerful storms. It is. They're just not impacting land, thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully. Well, I remember the 2013 season because I was talking the other day to some friends, meteorologists, that I hadn't been on the beach in September. And the only other time that had happened was back in 2013. I was on the beach for a tropical storm in June, the first week of June, the first week of hurricane season, and that was it for the rest of the year. Now, that season we had 15 storms and 4 hurricanes. But it's really not about the numbers. Of course, if you have more numbers, the odds increase you have landfalls. But with 15 storms and 4 hurricanes, we didn't have any landfalls. So this season, we've had just Chantal back around July. Well, that landfalled on Sunday morning, July 6th, just south of Myrtle Beach. But this time around, we've got another lucky strike here that Umberto was a Cat 5, is steering this one away from the coast.
Yeah.
And here we are. We're going to be in October in a few days. So, you get into the mid to latter part of October, and you're really getting to the tail end, statistically, of the season.
Yeah, it's just one of those funky things, but with huge benefit. We're lucking out, thankfully, across the lower 48. That's our storm specialist, Mike Seidel. Thank you.